All right, guys, we'll give folks a minute to hop on in here. Wanted to hop on because of the tornado warning right now, moving into eastern Indiana, kind of working just west of Richmond, Indiana. So just wanted to hop on and give you all a look at what we're watching right now with that storm. There's also another storm down to the south. That I do think that we need to keep a close eye on. It has some broad rotation that's near Metamora and Blooming Grove. Special weather statement on that right now, but I am keeping an eye on that one and seeing how it evolves here over the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. So, again, guys, feel free just hopping on. Feel free to like and share this with a friend. Shoot some comments there. Make sure that you all can hear me okay. We actually do have something exciting that hopefully you all will find valuable. We're going to see if it works out tonight. We've got some guys on the ground. One of our interns, Graham, on the ground chasing some of these storms this evening. So if they're in a spot where they can send us some live streams, we'll patch them in and give you all a look at what's going on the ground. So that'll be something that we're working on more of with coming severe weather events over the next several months, even if it doesn't quite pan out for this one, because it is starting to get a little bit dark, and I don't want them to be out there in the dark for too long. So they just messaged me. They are in the tornado warning right now, trying to kind of line it up. And so going to give you all a look here at what the current radar looks like here in eastern Indiana. And so, kind of again, specifically here, looking at Newcastle, looking at Richmond, just west of Richmond, I should say. Here's where the rotation is, kind of right over Cambridge City. And guys, what I've been noticing with this is it's kind of cycled. And what that basically means is at times the rotation has weakened a little bit and then it's intensified again. Guys, right now, I would say this rotation signal just northwest of Cambridge City is pretty decent. This isn't a broad area of rotation. This is what I would call a decent couplet here, where you have winds that are pretty strong working towards the radar and pretty strong working away from the radar. To me, there's a pretty strong rotation signal right here near Cambridge City. Now, perhaps for the system or the storm as a whole, it's a little bit messier in nature, but certainly there's enough rotation here to present some concern. And so just kind of backing out here and giving you all a look again at the full tornado warning. Anywhere from just along and north of Connorsville to Cambridge City to probably the west part of downtown Richmond, Indiana. Pretty populated area there under the tornado warning right now. If we kind of take a look at just the progression of the cell, it's actually moving more southeast than anything at this time. It's not really a traditional west to east. And see, I'm getting an alert here. There's a new tornado warning. And so this is, guys, what I was talking about. If you were with us when I hopped on, there was rotation here with this storm near Metamora. And in fact, you can see an intensification of that rotation here near Metamora, just southeast of Laurel. Zoom all the way in. That is just north of State Road 52. That's some strong rotation here, just north of State Road 52. And so, associated with this particular cell, rotation intensifying. Brookville, Blooming Grove, Mount Carmel, Cedar Grove, all of these areas under a tornado warning, you need to be taking shelter right away. Decent rotation signals in both of these storms in particular right now. And so I think that if you were anywhere, again, in these red polygons, you need to be taking shelter right now. There's certainly rotation with these storms. I'm going to click here. We'll look at the warning. Will also come with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and perhaps some small hail associated with this storm as well. I'm going to check in with our team on the ground. Let's see. Graham is... I'm going to send him a quick message here. As they kind of get into position, we'll kind of continue to watch this here. So let me zoom out because we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect right now. Let me see if I can put this on our clarity radar here for a second and show you what we are looking at. So let me pull up clarity here. Let me go find it for you all. Give me 1 second, guys and gals. There we go. So I'm going to take you to our Clarity Radar. This is available to our clients. If you're interested, you can scan that QR code there that you see in the top left. We can get you some more detailed, more down to the minute information. We actually now have multiple tornado warnings right now across parts of central Illinois, just east of Springfield. So let's go over there here for a quick second. And I'm going to go back and check with Graham one more time, real quick. But we actually now have, just looking across the area, 5 tornado warnings, 3 here in central Illinois, and then we have the 2 in eastern Indiana right now. Right now, guys, again, our biggest concern in Indiana are these storms that are near Cambridge City, near Richmond, and then near Metamora and Brookville. Again, some pretty strong rotation on both of these. With our Clarity platform, we can actually click here and we can look and see what the rotation is looking like with these. And certainly the one near Cambridge City, some pretty strong rotation there associated with this storm. We can zoom all the way in. That rotation crossed right along I-70 and is working right towards downtown Cambridge City right now in East Germantown. And then if we take a look at this secondary cell, you can see the rotation kind of right between Laurel and Metamora, heading south into the east, kind of along and north of that State Road 52 there that goes through Brookville. And so, guys, just to back out, I'm getting a lot of questions here just in terms of how we expect this to evolve over the next few hours. I'm going to turn on here our current severe thunderstorm watch. So, guys, if you were in this yellow shaded area, gonna just make kind of a broad call here. If you're in this yellow shaded area, you're under the severe thunderstorm watch. You are not necessarily done yet with severe weather. So even for those areas that just dealt with that storm near Newcastle, we're getting some questions on that. You're not quite done just yet. I think that there are going to be additional rain and storm opportunities as we go throughout the night. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean I have anything tracking towards your exact location right now, but you can see more storms are developing. We put our radar in motion here. More and more storms are developing right now along and north of the I-70 corridor. And these storms are beginning to intensify a little bit. This is something, guys, I want to make the mention. Weather model data are really, really struggling right now with this. Nothing really seeing this progression very well. But we do have a front up here to the north. And so I think that what happens is, as these storms continue to push further down to the south and to the east, in what is a pretty favorable environment as a whole, I think we continue to deal with some intensification. And I think the threat, if you're in the severe thunderstorm watch, will be a couple of instances of some very large hail, maybe up to ping pong ball sized hail, wind gusts in the strongest storms of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and perhaps an additional few tornado warnings that we'll need to deal with. I don't think tornadoes are necessarily the biggest threat here. I think wind may ultimately become the biggest threat, but it's not a zero threat for sure. We're already seeing that here with these 2 cells in Richmond and Brookville, and then the couple of tornado warnings that are here in central parts of Illinois. And so I think that if you were in this severe thunderstorm watch area, you're going to want to have your weather radio on tonight. You're going to want to have, if you have the Clarity app, be sure that that is on. Because, I think that severe weather risks are going to continue over the next several hours. If we take a look, I'm going to show you a simulated radar. I want to make it very clear for you all that I don't necessarily think that this is a perfect solution. In fact, you can see it's a little bit overdone right now. That's probably been the struggle of the model data in general here. Slow this down for you all throughout the evening. But what we expect to happen if we go back, eventually these storms start to expand, congeal. And I still think that if you're across southern Illinois, southern Indiana, along and south of I-70 especially, we can develop this into a little bit more of a cluster of storms, which could allow for some stronger wind gusts. So, guys, just something to keep in mind, that this is certainly not the end of the threat tonight. There will be additional chances that we're going to deal with as we go throughout the night. So, guys, I'm going to switch it back over here for a second to the tornado warned cells in eastern Indiana. And yes, the watch is until 4 a.m. Thank you, Sammy, for that question. Guys, be sure to share this with a friend, tag a friend, like this. Appreciate all of you all hopping on here. Indy, you're not done yet. Indy is not out of the woods yet. There are more rain and storm opportunities to come. I don't necessarily think everybody is going to get severe weather, but if you're in this yellow shaded area that you can see on the map, you are certainly not out of it just yet. That's going to include Indy, Bloomington, Terre Haute, Lafayette, Columbus, all of these areas still at play for severe weather as we go throughout the night tonight. All right, here. So I'm going to go back over, see if we can look at, just double check here to make sure that our team isn't on, not seeing them yet. So I'm going to go back to Radar Omega here for a second. And here we go. So we're going to go back here and we're going to look at the rotation on the storms. And guys, I mean, again, this is number one. This is a very classic signature that you're seeing here. This hooking signature, this kind of C shape that you get. This is a very classic Supercell signature, indicating some strong rotation here right in downtown Cambridge City. And just kind of tracking this based off where it's been. This is the general track that it's going to take. And so within the next 20 or 30 minutes or so, we're going to need to be keeping an eye out for potential impacts to, just south perhaps of Centerville. Let's turn on the last few frames. We can kind of see if it's moving more west to east right now. I would say based off that, this is kind of the area that I am most concerned about right now. For potential tornadic activity as we work over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So it's in this particular region that I'm most concerned with. Now, don't let your guard down because this track has been wobbling a little bit from a more west to east track versus a more north to south track at times. We've seen some variance. So Waterloo, Centerville, Cambridge City, all of these areas need to be on watch and you need to be in your safe place right now. If you have friends and family in the area, please be sure to take shelter. Please be sure to share this again with friends and family. They need to be taking shelter right away. The second storm that we're watching, the rotation on this has maybe weakened a little bit. This is just north of Yellowbank and south of Pinhook. You can see the broad rotation here. I may even turn, it's getting kind of closer to the Cincinnati radar. So I may even turn the Cincinnati radar on here and see if we can see this a little bit better on its radar, maybe getting a little bit closer to that one. Again, you can certainly see here some rotation, the greens being towards the radar, the reds being away, but it's not strong rotation. It's certainly worth keeping an eye on, though. And again, I agree that if you were in the tornado or the tornado warned area, Brookville, Metamora, Mount Carmel, all of these areas, Metamora at this point, you're probably out of it. But Blooming Grove, Brookville, Mount Carmel, all these areas, you need to be taking shelter right away. All right. Angela, good. Thank you for the report. Yes, please stay in the basement if you're in Cambridge City. That's probably the area that I'm most concerned about right now. Rotation may be weakening a little bit. Still kind of hugging the I-70 corridor here. Cambridge City, Jacksonburg, Heiser, if I'm pronouncing that right, all of those areas right in the bullseye in terms of the core of this storm. State Road 1 there. That's where the rotation is right now. The rotation is right over State Road 1. That is where probably the biggest issue is right now regarding this potential tornado warned storm.
Brett, can you hear me?
Oh, Michael's here.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
I can hear you. Now I can take a sip of my tea.
Oh, all right. I got some tornado warnings I see that we're dealing with, and some thunderstorms popping up.
Yeah, it's took its sweet time, but finally starting to get some action here. Since you're on here for a second, I'm gonna see if Graham, if he's on this storm or not. It's starting to get dark though, so I don't know how much he's gonna be able to see.
He's probably not gonna be able to see too much. We gotta have a helper here tonight for now. It's Lucas.
Oh, hi, Lucas.
Hi.
What's the weather gonna be?
It's gonna storm. Tell him it's gonna storm.
It's gonna storm. It's gonna
Okay.
Storm weather.
You're natural.
He's a natural, yeah. Um, all right. So yeah, we have that severe thunderstorm watch that's going until when are we taking that watch till, Brett? Looks like
Watch
about
goes until 4 a.m. So
okay.
the watch goes till 4 a.m. With some of these storms, again, they're still developing. I wouldn't say there's anything that I'm super concerned about with yet. I think it's probably going to be later. Seems like they're taking their sweet time to kind of get their act together. But as they develop, and I think we're kind of starting to see that out in Illinois, where maybe some of the better instability is some large hail, damaging winds, maybe 60, 70 mile per hour winds, and then a couple of tornadoes. Kind of already seen that enough wind shear in the atmosphere to allow for some rotation in some of these storms.
Perfect. Well, we'll definitely keep everybody updated. Let's go in and take a look at those tornado warning storms here in eastern Indiana. You've got your radar pulled up there. Certainly looking pretty good there east of Cambridge City, and we can see you see where the red's coming in with the green just south and east there. That's where your rotation is, and that's where the tornado warning is. It's moving east, so there might be a tornado there. They might want to take shelter, right? East of Cambridge City, west of Centerville, along might be State Road 40.
Yep, State Road 40, I think, or Highway 40.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this actually, the last couple of frames of this, if I go back, there's a new scan right there, has weakened a little bit. So at least some positive signs. There was a pretty strong couplet of what I would call, you can still kind of see right here. There's a little bit of one. But there was a stronger couplet, some stronger rotation signals here a couple of minutes ago. So maybe heading in the right direction. Certainly don't let your guard down. Still some rotation there, but some promising signs at least. This one, though, I would say has strengthened. So again, you kind of have your winds here away from the radar and towards the radar. And so here's your rotation just north of Brookville. So this is definitely not a spot I think you would want to be storm chasing, because you can see actually the topography on the map here. It's pretty hilly down here across southeast Indiana. But some pretty strong rotation here, again, right along Highway 50, 52, State Road 1, State Road 101, right through downtown Brookville. So if you're in downtown Brookville right now, you need to be in your shelter spot, and you need to be sure you are sharing this live stream with your friends and family to make sure that they are watching and getting into their safe space as well.
Yeah, especially because it's dark now. I mean, you can't really go outside to verify if anything's out there. There's no reason to mess with it. So taking shelter would be that's the safe route. So
Indeed.
let's I was going to pull up, Brett, our kind of our environment out ahead of this.
Yeah.
So just hear the latest meso analysis, and I can.
Well, you've got Sutton now too. Hi, Sutton.
Yeah, I've got a full house here. Tell you what, I'll share my screen.
Go for it.
And these guys can kind of see what we're looking at. So this is a look at the wind shear forecast, and it seems to be that there'll probably be just enough wind shear to sustain what we're looking at here, which is just right over. It's close. I mean, you look at the mixed layer Cape. I mean, you can definitely see why those storms in Illinois are thriving right now. Better instability, a little bit better wind shear back out to the west, but you can see that certainly being a little bit better setup there out there in Illinois. Your hands on your mouth.
Yeah, better. What is that? What is that you have on there? The
significant tornado parameter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. That one's it's elevated out west. Craven Brook signature obviously elevated west too. So I'm going to be curious, Brett, to see what these storms can do over central Indiana. I have suspicions here just about how good they're going to be able to really get going. I don't know if you kind of feel the same way or what, but
based off what you're showing there, I'm feeling that the better threats are going to be south and west of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that we're already kind of seeing it get together in Illinois. I could see maybe like Bloomington and points southwest, maybe.
Yep.
Bloomington to Louisville and points west. Um, I think the further south you go, still the better threat. Especially with these storms, I think that are in eastern Indiana. I think that that's kind of the initial storms, but not the main show in terms of how widespread things could be later on this evening.
Yeah, here's a look at radar right now, just to kind of put this into motion. Um, it's kind of cluttered, but let's see here. Turn these. Brett, can we turn off the overlay that you have on?
Sure.
Just so we can kind of, there we go.
QR code off.
Yeah, you can kind of see central Indiana is kind of in between the two. It's these thunderstorms here across central Illinois getting into the I-70 corridor there. Those are looking pretty good. In fact, you may get some hail there, and you got a couple of tornado warnings out there. There's kind of a gap in between, and we're still really kind of failing to see any significant. I mean, there's thunderstorms. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of curious on how well these are going to be able to get established, because there's really not a lot of lightning with them either.
No, I think you can see the storms with the most lightning where there's the best instability out there in central Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Which, I think maybe we're starting to see some development there near Terre Haute and where's that, Sullivan.
Yeah, they're trying. There's no question they're trying.
And I think you can see where it's trying to get more organized. Again, kind of maybe as I mentioned earlier, Bloomington to Terre Haute and points south and west. Gosh, it looks like we're going to get split here, Michael.
I mean, that's what I was kind of trying to say in the meantime. Yeah, I mean, unless something develops, in the next hour that we haven't seen on radar yet, which isn't out of the question.
For sure.
But I think, yeah, let's go real quick and just get you an updated situation here in eastern Indiana. And then, Brett, maybe what we can do is give this a little bit of time and come back with an update if we need to.
Yeah.
Looks like obviously the tornado warning is going to go here for 3 more minutes. It's going to expire in 3 minutes. There's still a lot of new lightning out ahead of this. These blue strikes here, those are the most recent lightning strikes. And then here's your rotation right now. It's still pretty impressive there on radar. Excuse me. You can see getting in just west here of Palestine, just north of Yellowbank. There's decent rotation indicated here in eastern Indiana. Looks like a new warning was just issued up here. It looks like a severe thunderstorm warning might take the place of the tornado warning.
Which is
some rotation though.
Yeah, I was going to say, which is interesting because if you go to the velocity scan, it's still pretty decent, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would be surprised if they don't extend it further east.
The severe thunderstorm warning does say tornado possible, 60-mile-per-hour winds going for another 17 minutes, and almost 1-inch hail. I don't know what Phoebe's doing right now. She must be scratching an itch there. Can you hear her over here?
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. Here's a look here. We'll go to the storm timer information here from Clarity, and you can kind of see what this particular storm's capable of. You can see a 33% probability there of a tornado with that storm.
There's the new warning.
New tornado warning?
Yep, new tornado warning extended further southeast, basically, just on that same cell.
Let me pull that out here real quick. I don't know why we're not getting. For some reason, it's there. It is. It came in later on Omega. We got it first on Clarity before we got it there. So yeah, this storm here, as Brett was mentioning, they extended the tornado warning for another 31 minutes. That's going to go for southern Wayne County, northwestern Union County, northeastern Fayette County until 10 o'clock. And this one looks to be moving southeast at about 15 miles per hour. So kind of like pretty much what I was showing here. It's going to probably move into that last. See these little circles here? These represent increments of 15 minutes. And so you can see here by about 10 15, it's going to be just southwest of Centerville, and we're still looking at that probability there, at least 33% chance of a tornado. I don't know why it keeps moving like that. I apologize. At least you can see who all's getting hit there. Neat view there on the clarity radar. Brett, if you want to switch over to Omega and kind of show where the rotation is, feel free there.
Sure. Let's see here. All right. All right, so a couple of spots of interest still. I will say that the storm's getting messier, but you can still see the rotation, I think, pretty clearly right here, um, right in this area just south of Highway 40, between Cambridge and Centerville. And again, this storm generally moving more southeast in nature, if anything. So Abington, that's going to be an area that will need to be on the lookout. This storm is only moving. Let's take a look here. Storm is moving only at 15 miles an hour, so it's taking its sweet time. I was going to say it feels like it's been here for a little bit of time already. We turn on here our drawing tool, 15 miles per hour. So you're looking at Abington at 9:54. Boston. Did you know there was a Boston, Indiana? I did
Wow,
not.
who knew?
10:16 p.m. In Witts Station, Indiana. That is not the good news. Not a super highly populated area in there.
No,
131.
crazy.
Now, if it were to continue, then it would work into western parts of Ohio. I'm going to assume probably a little bit of a higher populated area here along I-70. Let me turn this off for a second. I want to go back down and look to. Gosh dang it! Don't do that. At this storm, yeah, it's always fun. Brookville, because this rotation has strengthened a little bit and it is moving towards an area that is did they take the warning off of that, or is my thing just not updated?
No, they dropped the warning expired and they never extended it yet.
That seems odd to me. There's clearly rotation here.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing while you were talking, and I'm not quite sure why they did that. There's definitely evidence of rotation there.
We're going to disagree with that for a second. And we'll say if it's 15 miles an hour, again, as it starts to cross into the state of Ohio, the population towards Hamilton and Fairfield, much higher. And so this particular storm, again, there's not a warning on it right now. I think that there probably should be, just based off some of the rotation that we're still seeing there. But Mount Carmel, 9:54, Sharptown, 9:59, Peoria, 10:06. Then we go into western Ohio, Millville, 10:41, Hamilton, 11 p.m. Again, this is a very slow-moving storm right now as it crosses into Ohio. We'll back things out here for a second, kind of take a look at the full picture. These other storms out to the west near Terre Haute, man, these kind of fell apart here, didn't they? They tried to get going right there. And then
I don't know, Brad. I'm not super. I was actually texting with Kemper and I was a little skeptical about the severe thunderstorm watch for the whole state. I'm not saying it can't materialize, but I was a little questionable. I didn't really quite understand it personally.
To me, right now, let me turn off this other view. Just go to the Indiana view. I think, I don't know. I mean, maybe even south of Bloomington.
Yeah, I mean, again, unless there's new development over the next hour or two, which I'm going to try to see. I wanted to say that these impasse models that we were looking at were doing decent, but see if anything's doing good with the evolution of the radar right now.
So again, guys, what we're talking about right now, I'll go back to clarity here for a second just to share that. It is the watch itself. So here's a look at the watch itself. The watch itself covers pretty much the entirety of central Indiana, aside from where there's the tornado warning right now. in the severe thunderstorm warning. I'm not really sure why it wasn't issued further east, given where the severe weather was ongoing. That being said, I think our biggest hesitancy right now is just this activity up to the north, near Kokomo, northwest of Lafayette, just hasn't been very impressive. Even some of these cells in southern Indiana. I think maybe you could cut this in half, kind of at a diagonal through
Uh-huh.
here. Um, Highest threat, I would say, Mount Vernon, Effingham. I would be maybe more concerned about the Evansville areas as we go further into the evening. It looks like these storms are starting to kind of congeal into a cluster, slowly but surely,
Yeah.
which would take them close to Evansville later this evening.
I don't have any really good cams here, Brad, at all. None of the empaths they're worth anything. Let's see. The ARW, gosh, it was decent, but it missed Illinois completely. It was good in Indiana, bad in Illinois. How's that work?
Yeah, there are certainly days like this where there's 20 plus weather models we can look at, and none of them really did well.
No,
That I can think of.
no, I'm
And
not
so,
seeing.
just something to keep in mind in these situations, especially if you're using a free weather app. They're probably just taking one of those weather models and putting them right in there, and it's not going to help you very much. And so, I think what can help you are these nowcasts and stuff that John is putting out. We'll take a look here. He's got a nowcast active. So let's see here. This was a little over an hour ago. So, uh, pretty good, I'd say. Storm development zone for locations northwest of the red line. That's exactly where the storms have been developing. So this is the type of forecast information that you get in Clarity. It's not just data. It's a detailed analysis timed out by a meteorologist, giving you precise details that you need to keep yourself and your family safe, but then of course make decisions if you're a decision maker. And so, scan that QR code. That you can get for the starter subscription, $32 a month. If you want more detailed forecast or want to chat with the meteorologist, that's where that pro or a business subscription would kind of come into play.
Brett, I think the best one I've found is the 21Z RRFS in terms of radar usefulness. Let me see if I can toss that in here. Of course, I don't have my Pivotal login.
I'll go through and answer some chat questions while you work on that. Couple of things here. Is it better for a storm to cluster or to be separate? It depends. When you get a big storm cluster where you get multiple different thunderstorms within a cluster, that's sometimes when you can get those damaging wind events. They can kind of combine into a cluster and produce more of the straight line wind threat. While, especially, I would say in the springtime and kind of what's going on with some of those cells in eastern Indiana, a single storm, that's what can be maybe a bigger threat for a tornado. It's not always the case. We saw a couple weeks ago with the derecho that moved through Chicago. You can get a cluster of storms that produces spin-ups and tornadoes, but typically speaking, I'd say supercells typically produce stronger tornadoes, while those clusters typically produce heavier rain and stronger wind gusts.
Brett, here is I tossed up the latest RRFS, if you can see that.
Yep.
So what we're doing is when we go through and we look at these weather models, guys, we're trying to find weather models that are really performing the best with current radar. And this isn't the most picture perfect idea, but it certainly has generalized placement, a couple of cells east, some cells to the west and northwest. And this is by 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Here is by midnight and 1 a.m., you can kind of see nothing ever really gets super organized on this latest run of this model. Everything kind of stays rather scattered in nature. Perhaps it gets more organized in southern Indiana here, closer to 1 or 2 in the morning, down through Louisville and northern Kentucky. I don't know where my screen share went, but that's weird. Just disappeared on me, didn't
Still
it?
see it.
Huh?
Said I can still see it.
Oh, well, okay.
Now I
Well, I
can.
couldn't see it. So, yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'm just, I'm a little skeptical on continued organization with this. I would say if you're in places like Lafayette, Crawfordsville, Lebanon, Indy, Greenwood, Franklin, Shelbyville, Columbus, Bloomington, um, right now I'm a little skeptical on there being much of anything happening, at least for the time being. So
Yep.
I think with
I agree.
that, Brett, we can maybe kind of watch this and see if we need to come back on here or if we want to just kind of call it for now.
Yeah, I think we keep an eye on it. We can have Mr. John Kemper let us know if anything crazy pops up. He's holding the fort down in the office tonight, um,
I'll
and
sh-
go from there.
I'll show them real quick just so folks have a visual. I think again, I think in here I'm questioning the severe weather aspect of this. I think in here it's definitely you're getting severe weather, and out through here, obviously you're dealing with it right now. It's really out through central Indiana where we're just going to have to watch and wait and see if anything can become organized. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying in 2 hours from now things can't get a little bit more organized and we may come back on for some coverage. But as of right now, that's the latest thinking, and we'll keep you posted.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brad.